talking. You are now listening to The Box Out with Kahlil Thomas and Jason Corden on the One Podcast Network. Let's get it.
From NJ to BK and the world, this is The Box Out here on the One Podcast Network. My name is Kahlil Thomas. Joining me in just a few minutes will be Jason Corden from Brooklyn, New York. Show was supposed to be yesterday. We had a little bit of a cat emergency in my house. There's a cat ER trip that had to happen, so we had to postpone it for a day. So thank you for watching. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And, our normal show days are Thursdays. And I, told Jason, I was like, let's wait until do the show till Sunday, not Monday, because when the season starts, there's a lot going on. And, for us to do a show on Thursday, 2 days into the NBA season wasn't really enough. We needed like 5-6 days to kind of gather our intel, to give our opinions, to kind of figure out what we want to talk about in this early stage of the NBA season. So we waited till now. Our next show will be Sunday. We'll explain that a little bit later as well. But at this point, there's a lot to discuss in the NBA. And right now, there's nothing, there's something called Overreaction Monday when we talk about the NFL and how so many teams and fans and just overreact on Monday morning based on how their team did over the weekend, whether it be Sunday, whether it be a Thursday, whatever. I think the one thing with the NBA season that's different from the NFL season is it's easy to overreact only because, that instantaneous, like, oh my God, my team sucks. As a Knicks fan, watching them get blown up by the Celtics, that hit me in a certain point. That hit me hard. I was like, wow, we might stink this year. And then they open at home to beat Indiana. So I'm like, okay, cool, we're back again. An 82-game season will give you that, and more than 82 games, obviously, if you have the NBA Cup, which we'll talk about later as well. So in 82 games, it's easy to kind of go through this roller coaster of emotions and of one day the team sucks, the next day it doesn't suck. One day the team stinks, the next day the team is great. It's just back and forth, right? And starting with the Knicks, we saw that. Opening night in Boston raised the championship banner, and listen, going to the game, we knew what's up. What's up, Pop? What's going on? Going to the game, you knew that Boston would be hyped up. They're getting their rings. They got their banner raised. It's a big night. I think any team, and this is any sport, I don't care if it's NBA, NFL, NHL, when you face a team getting their banner, it is going to be a game that you almost expect that the visiting team is either going to lose a really close one, or just get blown up the gym, the stadium, the arena, whatever. The Knicks were a victim of that opening night last Tuesday. They got smoked by Boston. And so many things didn't click. I kept hearing about Mikal Bridges' jump shot. That was a big topic of discussion online and on New York radio, sports radio. And it took a lot for me to go, okay, not going to go there. I'm not going to get overly excited. I'm not going to get overly Let's just wait this out and let's see what happens. And needless to say, I think I feel pretty good all of a sudden as I welcome in Jason Corden from BK. What's going on, Jay?
Nothing much, man. I just realized I have to order this new Gotham app just to watch Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils. What the hell's going on in the world? I got to pay $40 at that?
Well, it's funny because I was paying for my dad's Yes app because he cut the cord with the YouTube TV, and the Yes app was like $22, right? Give it $23. Right. I'm like, that's cool. I can do that for you, Pop. No problem. He said $45. I was like, Dad, you're out. I'm sorry. You're shit out of luck, homie. I can't do $45 a month. So, but yeah, listen. As someone who works kind of for Yes, people are complaining about it. People aren't really happy about the Gotham app. So you're not the only one.
Jeez. I was like, I just realized because I have YouTube TV, and I'm like, I can't watch the Knicks game. And then I realized I have to do the app, and then the app gives you you could do the MSG package for $25, or do the yes package for 25 as well. And I'm like, I kind of need both. It's a weird sell.
Yeah, combined is like 45 or something like that.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
And then run a deal for annual $300. I'm like, that's not a deal. Like, what's special about that deal? I don't understand it. But there's a whole other conversation about streaming apps. I hate games being on. Talking about the opening night with the Knicks and how 82 game season, emotions kind of go up and down. What were your immediate reaction when they got smoked by the Celtics opening night?
My immediate reaction was, I hate Steve Kerr. I feel like Steve Kerr lit such a fire behind Jason Tatum. And, you just knew they were going to come out as gangbusters. They got their rings. They feel kind of slighted that people describe their path to the title as a cakewalk. And then not being able to play in the Olympics very much, kind of like he was a third fiddle, not even a second fiddle, because he got barely any playing time. So, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum had a chip on their shoulder. They're going into this season trying to do something that no Boston team has done in more than a quarter of a century, which is repeat as champion. So I felt the Knicks walked into that storm, and they were the perfect bait. They kept hearing the chirping, how the Knicks and the 76ers are on their heels. So I think they wanted to send a message out early to the whole league. It wasn't even about the Knicks. It was about the whole rest of the league.
Yeah, and I feel like the Knicks was just that prey that was just there that night. And, anytime the team gets rings, get their banner raised, they're victims. And that's what it was in Boston. Right. I couldn't. The big conversation was Mikal Bridges' jump shot, which got really annoying real quick on Friday, on that Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it was. But they come back to the Garden. They beat Indiana in a big game. Brunson had a big game. It's 2 games. But what do you see in these first 2 games for the Knicks so far?
I see it's going to take a little time for them to gel, where we got to figure out ways to get Towns, get all these other guys acclimated, figure out what Josh Hart's role is going to be. I think I'll tell you this though, the McBride has been the bright spot for both games. He's looked really good. So I feel like he, in that DiVincenzo role, might evolve into that this year. But I'm not going to take too much on the Boston game. I like what I saw against Indiana, especially in that third quarter. We'll see what happens tonight, but the season's young. I'm not going to judge the Knicks until 21 games into the season.
Damn, 21?
21.
I'm like, 10 games. What did we even know in 10 games?
Well, we got the
it's one of those things where like
games too.
Oh god, that shit. I really hate the in-season tournament. No, and I think during the game they said it that, and I think you might have said it too. Early in the season, you're going to see a lot of that starting 5 in the games. Tibbs isn't going to use the bench a lot because that 5 really didn't get a lot of playing time together. So you got to figure out what works and figure out, like you said, roles and who does what well, who does this well, which is only get more complicated when Mitchell Robinson comes back.
All right.
I'm just curious to see, like you said, McBride's been a not revelation, but like this could be a spot that, like you said, the DiVincenzo spot. Cam Payne, I think, shouldn't get any playing time. I don't feel Cameron Payne at all. I'm just not. I don't see it. But you're still missing Precious. When Precious comes back, it gives you a little bit more muscle down low. So there's a lot of moving pieces. And I talked about this last week on the show with Bruce. Do you think this might be a case where Tibbs might, after this first week or 2, extend that rotation a little bit and figure out who's his guys that can roll in that 9 that he's going to end up with eventually?
I think he has to. And one good thing I'm noticing, especially from Towns, he brought Turner out a lot in that last game. And I feel like he's going to do that to a lot of centers in the league. So there's definitely some things the Knicks will figure out. But I think you're right. I think Tibbs got extended to at least 9 to 10 guys right now. And then we figure it as we go.
So that Knicks will coach well, they will get much better. I agree. They'll get better. I think once they figure out everything and figure out this is your spot, I think they'll get better. I want to talk about Brooklyn for a second because Brooklyn opened the season in Atlanta. They lost to Atlanta. Went to Orlando, lost to Orlando. Their home opener was last night in Brooklyn against Milwaukee, which I was like, okay, 0-3 start. Pretty expected, whatever. And they end up actually blowing Milwaukee out. The score was a lot closer than what it really was. But Brooklyn looked good. Cam Thomas scored 20. I think he scored like 25, 26 points in the second half against Milwaukee. Was this a fact of maybe Milwaukee not being as good, or maybe, Brooklyn might be that scary young team that every year we have won an NBA?
I just think Brooklyn, like I told you, I think Brooklyn's going to play above what their projected record is going to be. But we really have some concerns about Milwaukee. Like, I don't know if it's a case that they play to the competition, or maybe outside of Dame and Giannis, we don't really know how deep this team really could be. And it feels like I think they might be sellers quicker than we might expect them to.
I mean, the other problem is Chris Middleton might be. There's a use for Chris Middleton, but it's almost one of those things where it's like you don't want Chris Middleton because you know he's going to miss the first half of the season, come back, take another 2-3 weeks to get into game shape, and then get hurt again or something. Like, I feel like the Bucks might have to move Chris Middleton just to get someone maybe not at his caliber, but someone that is going to play 60 some odd games, because Middleton is just forever hurt. And I think deep down it hurts Milwaukee because Giannis doesn't have that safety valve that he always had in the past.
Right. So that's something we're going to have to figure out. They're going to have to figure it out. And God knows they got Doc as a coach, so this could get ugly real fast.
I mean, listen, Doc, my feelings on Doc. I think Doc Rivers is the biggest con man in NBA coaching history. So I don't see this ending well in Milwaukee. I see them, like you said, I think they'll be sellers. They'll be competing for that play-in spot. I really think they're in that 6-7 spot in the East, because I feel like there's so many teams that's going to jump over them. And like you said, Giannis is going to get hurt. Middleton's going to get hurt. He's already hurt. Dame is not Dame time from years ago. So I feel like you look at this team that's just disjointed with a coach who's just, I think Lawrence Fishburne coached harder than Doc Rivers did in real life.
Damn it.
He did in Clippers in real life.
Not the clip series. Good Lord.
I think Lawrence Fishburne did a better job of being Doc Rivers than Doc Rivers after being Doc Rivers. That's where I'm at with Doc Rivers right now. He's just, what do you bring? I was
going to ask you, with thinking about the Bucks, and I know we're going to talk about surprises early. Orlando's one of my surprises. I think Orlando has passed Milwaukee and Miami in terms of supremacy in the current Eastern Conference. So with that said, do you think there's any point between now and the trade deadline Giannis says, blow this up, I want out? If you had to give a percentage to that, from 1 to 100, what would you say?
32.
Damn.
Because I think Giannis is loyal to the point where he's like, I want to stay, but you need to blow everything else up around me. And let's rebuild this around me. And let's figure out what works for me. I don't think Giannis is ever going to leave Milwaukee. And this could be my, naivete working here, but he is so loyal to Milwaukee for giving him a shot. I think he's going to say, let's blow it up, but we're going to do this together here again. Start from scratch and build from within like we did before and do it that way. I really don't see Giannis going anywhere in his career. I think he's a forever Buck.
Really?
I think so.
They said the same thing about Kareem,
They do. I mean, well, different conversation with the Bucks. The Bucks just got bad after they won a championship in the 70s. It's like, we don't really give a shit now. We're just gonna blow it up. Just don't care. But you made a good point, because here's the top 6 right now. Now, mind you, once again, guys, it's early. We know, but here's your top 6 in the East right now: Cleveland, Boston, Magic, Hawks, Knicks, Heat. Does that 6 sound correct, or do you think Indiana, who's 12, Philly, who's 11, Milwaukee, who's 10, will they move up? Because Atlanta being in 4th spot, I don't foresee them staying in that 4th spot very much longer.
No, I don't see that either. I don't think Atlanta stays where they're at. Who else? I'll say move. I do think Cleveland's going to finish top 4 and top 3 in the East, because I feel like they're such a regular season team. They're going to always accumulate a lot of wins. But Philly's going to move up eventually, and things going to move up too. So, and Milwaukee, they'll move up. They'll move up to 6. I'll give them the 6 cushion. I don't see them as a playing team.
Well, speaking of Philly, we had some news that the NBA is going to investigate the the playing habits of one Joel Embiid. Obviously, is everyone knows Embiid's not going to play the whole season. He does not care about the games, the minimum games requirement to win MVPs or awards. He's like, I'm gearing up for playoffs. He's not playing back-to-backs. They're going to rest him periodically. The NBA is going to investigate that. Charles Barkley went in on him. A lot of other players have went in on him. What are your thoughts on the Sixers and Embiid just being so outward, saying, we don't care what you think. We're gearing up for the playoffs. We're not playing Joel in the regular season. Who cares?
Well, they got to win some games to get to the regular season. I think they handled this wrong. I think you just sit him out back to back, let the media attack it, and then let it be a story. I wouldn't have gone out at the beginning of the season to saying that. With that also said, he is always hurt, so I get it. They just went about it wrong.
Yeah, I get it, right? The idea, for the most part, is win a championship, right? That's right. Their ultimate goal is win a championship. Mm-hmm. But for someone like Embiid, you got to get the reps. You just got to get in there. Like I think Barkley said, we're not steel workers. We're not nurses. Like, we play basketball maybe 4 times a week. Like you're not. Basketball's a tough game, but in the grand scheme of it all, go to work. You and I go to work every day.
But how many back-to-backs are being scheduled anyway? Especially in the beginning of the season, I'm pretty sure it's very limited, very few and far in between.
I mean, I think the NBA said like most teams are only getting like 4 or 5 back-to-backs the whole season. Right. So this isn't like 1999, 2000 when I felt like those back-to-backs every night. I felt like, right, and the NBA was just trying to squeeze as many games in for whatever reason because David Stern was a tyrant. But Adam Silver's gone to great lengths to make the schedule a lot better for them, and they're still complaining about the schedule. He's just like, what else do you want me to do? The season can't go to August. Like, we have to have back-to-backs. You might have to play on TNT on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, and we need you to play on Tuesday and Thursday night. That's what it is. Right. So at some point, the players kind of need to man up and nut up and go, all right, we get it. We're going to go out there and ball out.
Random question. With next year, where we're going to Amazon, NBC, and Fox, the chances of not back-to-back per se, but it's definitely going to be some Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday kind of situation. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the league is ready for that conversation, but I think that would have been the better argument to say, hey, we're not going to play the back-to-back. You guys have to figure something out. But I am curious to know how it's going to go about next year. I know NBC is doing Sunday, but they're saying they're going to do it after the football season, which makes sense. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens with that, because, ESPN has that Wednesday, Friday. Now you're going to factor Amazon and NBC. So who knows what the schedule is going to look like next year.
Yeah, I feel like, and I almost feel like they're going to make a bigger effort to get different teams in that Sunday night spot and on Amazon on Thursday. So I feel like you may not, obviously you're going to get the Lakers if LeBron is still there. You're going to get the Bucks. You're going to get the Knicks. You're going to get the Clippers and Phoenix. And you'll get the bigger teams. But I think there's a concerted effort to try to get different teams in those spots. So I think the NBA really wanted to do that in its contract. I think TNT wasn't having that shit. TNT's like, no, we want the Lakers every Thursday night at 10:30. That's what we want. I think this is where the player association comes in. This is why you have a union. The union's like, listen, you got to help us more. But like I said, I think also Adam Silver's going to be like, we have helped you. We have done our job. We have eliminated back-to-backs for the most part. We've tried not to give you guys 3 games in a week. The Knicks have not played in days until tonight. The NBA is on a World Series schedule right now. It's like, okay, we're just going to wait 8 days to start the World Series. This is where we are right now. So at some point, they just play. Just play. Like, I get it, Joel. You get hurt quite often. Condition.
It sounds like he's also playing scared too. Like, you can get hurt no matter. He can get hurt in the bathtub, slipping on some soap. God forbid. I mean, he's acting real scared. Bruce is in the house.
Bruce hosts the armchairing on Wednesdays. Bruce was going on, and I can't remember who said it. I came across this on Facebook, going through reels, and someone said, forget the conversation of who's better now or then. The conversation is dead now, right? The whole Joel Embiid thing killed the conversation because now you're looking at a generation before this, and probably before that a little bit, played every game, played hurt. Isaiah Thomas damn near broke his ankle and played on it. And that was the NBA Finals, but still.
Yep.
Guys never took days off. And guys balled out in the offseason and practiced in the offseason, did what they had to do in the offseason. Now you got guys taking nights off, load management. Kawhi's out, God knows for how long. We don't know when Kawhi's going to come back. So the generations of, is this generation better? Is this generation better?
Can't have that argument
Kill that
anymore.
conversation. It's done. It's over. Get it done. We can kill that conversation officially now. So in the Western Conference, and I was waiting to bring this up, the Lakers are 3-0. Is this a real 3-0? Or is this a Fugazi 3-0?
I'll give it a real home cooking, but I'll give it a real.
Really?
I give it a real. I think the Lakers have something with Austin Reeves. I think I was talking to my boy we was watching the Friday night game at the bar. The plan for the Lakers was always to feed the ball to AD, and whenever he has a big game, to me it seems like the Lakers are on the winning column a little bit more. So I think LeBron, if he pace himself and really feed it to AD, let Reeves create some plays, I think they're fine. I think Russell is a serviceable point guard. I think they're fine. And I think early on the season, they're trusting into whatever system they want. They're figuring out, they're trying to find their identity. And I like what they're doing right now. And keep Bronny on the sideline. Don't even show Bronny in these games. I love it. But I think the Lakers 3-0 is for real.
Well, they said that Bronny's going to be going back and forth between the NBA team and the G League team. So they already kind of said this is what, even though they didn't want him to sign a two-way deal, but essentially he's on a two-way deal because he's going back and forth. So you didn't want him to sign a two-way deal, but he's really a two-way player because he's going to go back and forth between the NBA and G League. So that's a whole other conversation. Here's your top six in the West right now. You got the Lakers, the Thunder, both 3-0. And then you have the Grizzlies, the Suns, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, and the Pelicans all 2-1. The Clippers 2-1. I'm sketchy about that because I saw opening night, which Intuit Dome might be the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Intuit Dome is epic. I want to go. I've never said this in my life. I want to go to Inglewood.
It's funny you mentioned that. I got to go to a wedding in Calabasas on Saturday. But Friday, when I land, I do plan on at least walking by that stadium. Just take pictures, have a visual idea how it looks like. But
okay, so let's go back. Who the hell you going to go see in Calabasas? Is this a Kardashian wedding? What are we doing here?
No, one of my boys I used to work with, he's getting married out there. And I'm looking forward to staying at the Hilton in Calabasas.
Oh, a Hilton. Damn, moving up for Red Roofs. All right, cool. Hilton in Calabasas.
Hey,
all right.
Shout out to Red Roofs, a great establishment, by the way. Great establishment.
Actually, no, it's not. Because I went down to Jersey Shore over the summer for a night. And Jersey Shore, it's nice down there. It's summer, and the prices were kind of high. I'm like, okay, Red Roof. I've been to Red Roofs that are nice-ish. Mm-hmm. I went to this one, and it looked like I was in a halfway house. It was like the bed was like springy. And you heard the springs. Ooh. Like the bathroom looked weird. The lighting was terrible. I'm like, this does not look like a Jersey Shore hotel. Not, I'm
maybe it survived the situation. Little Jersey Shore wordplay there.
Jesus Christ. I hate you for that. I can't stand you. Bruce, best wishes to your friend. Your friend better not get divorced in Cali. That's true. They get half. That's a fact. They get half out there.
I will remind them of that.
That's why Kobe didn't get divorced, because Kobe's like, I'm smarter than this. I'm gonna make this work. No, I think Bruce said it in the chat. Golden State's lose some games. Curry's gonna be out for about a week and a half with an ankle injury, which is gonna be like 2-3 weeks probably, because they're gonna rush him back. I think Minnesota at 2-1, but Randall doesn't work with that team.
Randall doesn't work with the team, but just as always, he puts up good stats.
Yeah, but I watched it. I watched the first 2 games. I was curious about how it was going to work. And then I listened to Bill Simmons, and he kind of said the same thing I said. Like, he's like, they're terrible together. Like, everything's kind of disjointed. It didn't work. Like, even with Cat and Gobert, and there was questions about that mix, it worked. Randall and Gobert, and then, Ant trying to getting his shots, and DiVincenzo, you got to get him going because that's who he is. He's volume.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get him going. Nothing works. So the 2-1, yes, but that's a Fugazi 2-1 to me completely.
I agree.
So, but I don't trust.
Can they move Randall, or they got to stick with him?
I think by the trade deadline, he'll be okay. I got to double check that, but I think they couldn't move off of him. I don't know if they would, because they did give away Cat. So I feel like they're like, you're expiring contract anyway, so we'll just keep you around.
Right.
But even if you move Julius Randle, what's out there that you can get for him that's going to make you a better team? I don't think there's anything out there.
Yeah, it's kind of tough out there right now, but
yeah, I think that's going to be the issue. The issue's going to be like, hey, we can trade him, but what do we get back that's going to make us a good team, a good playoff team? Not just a good team, a good playoff team. I think that's the question with moving anybody at this point. It's like, what can you get back for this? Houston re-signed Jalen Green last week, and I didn't realize it because we talked about it quickly last week. His deal is real cap friendly. So they're saying that might be a trade chip for Houston with all the draft picks they got now to move off of him and get a superstar like a Durant, which they were kind of discussed about, reported about in the summer. So I think Houston and teams like Houston and OKC, those are teams that can make big moves and get players that actually work and actually make them better. There's no other team I can think of off the top of my head besides those two that can make a move like that.
It's funny you say that because that's exactly where I see Giannis going.
Houston?
It's either Houston or Miami. I don't think Riley's going to sit back. First of all, that was a horrible statue they gave Dwayne Reed. Yeah, horrible statue. But there's no way Riley is going to sit back and watch the East just like slip. He's seen the Knicks get better. He's watching Miami fade to the back. He has a trump card he's going to play at some point, and it's going to try to get Giannis.
Remember, they made Cat and Gobert work. True.
That's two bigs, though. That's two bigs. I think Cat and Mitchell work too, and Mitch gets back. But
yeah, I also feel like Cat and Gobert wanted to make it work, and there was a willingness to say, okay, what they probably sat down and said, okay, what do you do best? What do I do best? Let's figure it out. Randall ain't doing that. Randall let that dude sit down, like, yo, so you're Rudy. So what do you do good? Like, Randall's like, I'm gonna get mine. You sure? Like what Bernie Mac said, I'm gonna get mine. Better get yours too, but I'm gonna get mine first. Same thing.
Just get out the way. Just get out the way.
That's what Randall's. Just get out the way. Randall handle all day in Minnesota. That's gonna be the thing in like January. Minnesota fans we call them sports stations. Like,
you know what?
Damn, Randall handle's crazy.
You know what? Watching all that ball movement on Tuesday and Friday, I kind of miss Randall a little bit. I mean, I couldn't I had to watch the screen back and forth, make sure keep up with the pace. With Randall there, we got a little, I kind of missed it a little bit.
That extra pass is big. I'm like, damn, I missed that extra pass. Like, what happened with that? We didn't have that at all last year. The other talk about is San Antonio. And when he signed Chris Paul, I was sketchy about what they're trying to do. I'm still kind of sketchy on what they're trying to do. Because it seems like you have this young team with Wemby, and then you just throw old-ass Chris Paul in the mix. Like, okay, you go fix these guys. He did in OKC. I'll give him credit. That one season OKC, I think he lifted them up because they needed a grown-up in the room. He was a grown-up. Do you think this is one of those things where Pop's like, we need an adult here, not just me. We need a vet who's going to dig in some asses and get guys going?
I think so. I think this is more of a mentor coaching kind of like just getting Wemby up to speed so he can be the next great superstar in the league. I don't think Chris Paul expecting a championship run here. I think he's going to come in here, do his best, and maybe position himself to be a future head coach down the line.
Yeah, and in the chat they say he's like a coach on the court, and it's true. I think with OKC, 100%. him being in OKC was one of those things. I'm like, they kind of needed that, and I think he saw now. You see, he's talking, coaching up Wemby and going, okay, let's do this. You kind of see him like pointing things out. Even on the bench, when on the bench together, he's pointing little things out. So I think that was a big thing. For that reason, yes, I think it was a great addition. But I'm still like, how much does he have left in a tank? Because they're going to get good. Chris Paul is going to make your team good, and they're going to be in that play-in conversation. When you get to that point, and Chris Paul is going to have to start playing, 35, 36 minutes a game, how big a detriment is he going to be for that team?
That might be problematic because he might not be there down the stretch because you know how Chris gets hurt coming down playoff runs too. But I take what Chris is trying to do kind of like what Marcus Smart did with Boston. He got those guys tough, especially those early years where Cleveland was smacking them up. So I think this is that kind of project where it's going to be like, all right, Wemby, I'm going to toughen you up. I'm going to show you the ropes, take my knowledge, and go on about your NBA career.
Get on. Like, you get on. I'm showing you everything. Keep it pushing. Right now, we got a lot of games going on tonight in NBA. Big game, big night. At the third quarter now. I just jumped on NBA.com. 77-70, Orlando up on the Pacers. That's in the third quarter. Second quarter, 53-47. Toronto's on top of Denver. 23 seconds before halftime. Knicks up by 5 on Cleveland at home. Miami up by 7 on Detroit. Second quarter. Also, second quarter, Milwaukee up on Boston. Atlanta up on Washington. No shit. Houston on top of the Spurs in the first quarter. Also in the first quarter, Chicago down by 10 against Memphis. Utah, Dallas starts soon. And then later tonight, you have Sacramento, Portland, Lakers, Phoenix. And that is the whole lineup. It's a big, big night in basketball. Who knew on Monday it was going to be this big? The next thing. Oh, wait, Bruce. I was waiting for this. Denver is in trouble. What do you thoughts on Denver, Jay?
I mean, I don't know if they're in trouble, but I think they're one of those late. This is their preseason. I'll judge them 15 games into the season. I think they will find their rhythm, but they are a depleted team compared to the last 2 years. They keep losing bodies, so I wouldn't say in trouble. I just don't have them in my top 2 anymore in the West.
Well, here's the thing, and I think this goes to them. I think back to the Marlins, right, in baseball. The Marlins won the titles twice, and they blew it up. Now, Denver didn't completely blow the team up. Obviously, they kept Jamal Murray. They re-signed Aaron Gordon to an extension late last week. You got Jokic, who is a guaranteed triple-double every night. But Bruce just said in the chat, they have no bench. Besides those 3, and I'm sorry, you can depend on Jokic. Jamal Murray isn't playing great. And Aaron Gordon's Aaron Gordon. Like, you're going to get what you could get from Aaron Gordon. You're not going to get a consistent 20 and 10 from Aaron Gordon every single night. They just let people go and just did not want to pay. I'm like, if you want to stay competitive and you want to win some games, you have to spend some money. And Denver's like, oh, we're not going to keep you, Bruce Brown. Oh no, KCP, no, we don't need you. But meanwhile, those are your linchpins to success. And you're like, we're going to get Christian Brown. He's going to take over. And it's like, he ain't ready for that yet. They're hoping that these rookies and these G League guys kind of pop in and take those spots of like those vets. But I'm sorry, Bruce Brown is 6'4" and can guard Embiid if you need him to. They don't have that versatility. I think that's going to kill. That's killing him now and going to kill him in the end.
I think this is why it's been hard to repeat lately in the NBA. Teams don't keep their bench. Now Boston, on the other hand, they kept their guys. So this is why everyone favors them to like probably repeat. But yeah, the way Denver lost, first they lost Bruce Brown, which is a very underrated loss at the time. And now to lose Pete, that's again, I don't have them in my top 2. Maybe 4 or 5 in the West, but I don't have them in my top 2.
Don't forget they still have championship DNA. Correct. However, even DNA got more than three chromosomes to it. Like, you need multiple pieces of chromosomes to have a good DNA. And I'm sorry, you're missing a lot on that team. Like, you You don't have that knockdown. If Jamal Murray's having a good game, you're stuck. You don't have that guy that you lean on, and that bench. Let's. I'm going to go through their roster for a second. I feel like we don't talk about the roster. So we got Braun, Michael Porter Jr. Okay,
forgot about him. He's still there.
Westbrook is there, and people like hype up Westbrook like, oh, he still got something left in the tank. We'll see. Mm-hmm. Julian Strawther, don't know who that is. Hunter Tyson, don't know who that is. Mm-hmm. Old ass DeAndre Jordan still lurking, still there. I don't know if he's actually playing, but he's still.
I forgot he's still there. Damn.
Peyton Watson, Saric, who I'm like, that's a decent addition. No, he's washed. Deron Holmes, who used to play with Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Spencer Jones, Zeke Naji, I don't know who that is. Trey Alexander, Jalen Pickett, Jamal Murray, Can Carr, and then Aaron Gordon, and then obviously Jokic. So besides Russell Westbrook and Saric on a good day, that's your bench. That's a terrible bench.
I agree.
Yeah. I agree. Because you're thinking like, wait, yeah. Because Westbrook, the biggest fear of Westbrook is he has those heat check times.
True.
And Westbrook hits like 2 shots. He's like, oh, I'm in. And he's just jacking him up. And I'm like, yeah, we don't want that tonight. We don't. And Sarge might be the softest 6'10" player I've ever seen in my life to this day still. Like 6'10" means nothing. So Bruce is right. I think Denver, I'm going to say this now on October 28th, Denver might be a play-in team.
No way.
Denver is teetering on that play-in spot because you think about it here, right? Let's look at let's look at the West, all right? You said the Lakers weren't fugazi, so let's put the Lakers in that conversation for the top 6. Lakers, Thunder. I think the Grizzlies are a lot better than people think they are. I think Agreed. Phoenix is going to be good because Budenholzer could be a good coach because you don't really have to coach this team. You got Kevin Durant, you got Devin Booker, you got Bradley Beal. Not a lot of coaching involved in that team. So that's 4. Timberwolves 5, maybe. Dallas 6. Sure. Dallas 6.
You forget about Dallas. Like they didn't make it to the finals last year.
They've also only played 2 games because this damn NBA scheduling is god awful.
Then we got Sacramento. I don't know where you want to put the Pelicans.
Do you put Houston up there too?
With the Pelicans and the West is tough, man. Damn.
So I could honestly see Denver being 7 or 8 in the West and being in the play-in spot.
I can't see it, man. Well, like I said, championship DNA. I can't see them dropping no lower than a 4th seed. But they will coast. They will not try to get 50 wins. They're going to try to just, stay healthy and accumulate enough wins to stay away from the play-in situation.
Of that group, I can totally see. I could see the Lakers falling out and not being that top echelon. And I could see the Lakers being out. I could see Golden State falling out too. Because I feel like Golden State.
I don't think Golden State make the playoffs. I don't think they make the playoffs.
Damn, like that.
That West is too tough, man.
Huh.
Because what was our under and over? What was our over under for them for the season?
Golden State, I think it was like 44 or something like that.
That's not enough for playing in the West. I think they're gonna teeter on 11th or 12th in the West.
We'll see. I don't like I said. The West is the East is a little more like we know who the top 6 teams are in the East,
and that's it.
The West is like it can jump.
It could jump, right?
So we don't know, and we won't know. We won't know for a minute. I do want to get to because it's gonna be a quick show because I have to work baseball tonight. I gotta get to work tonight. Why the hell are the WNBA coaches being fired? Is this like did I miss something? Is there a memo that went out?
I don't know what's going on.
Let's start from today. The Connecticut Sun let go Stephanie White, coached 2 years. They made it to the WNBA semifinals this year. Yesterday, Indiana, who made it to the playoffs after a really shitty start, fired their coach, Christy Sides. Over the weekend, the Misses fired Eric Thibault and his dad, Mike, who's a GM, who Mike is a legendary WNBA coach. Dallas fired Latricia Tramwell last week, 2 weeks ago. The Dream fired their coach at the beginning of October. And then Witherspoon fired by Chicago. And then Kurt Miller's fired by the Sparks. So essentially you have, and I want to count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 job openings in a 12-team league.
Wow.
Why the hell is this happening?
Hey, listen, man. We was talking about, players and their pay. Maybe they don't want to be paying the coaches. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. I would hope Teresa Witherspoon gets another opportunity at one of these 8 vacancies. Other than that, I don't know if they just want to reshuffle the deck and see who's a viable coach. But it's very, the hell with investigating Embiid. We need to investigate this. Like, why is there 8 openings of a 12-team league? That's scary.
Here's my biggest fear. They're firing a lot of these coaches, and if you notice, a lot of them are female coaches. So of the 8 openings,
good point.
You fired Connecticut, you fired Dallas, you fired Chicago. I'm of the point. I'm thinking, and Phoenix went and got a highly regarded NBA assistant to come in and coach the Mercury after they fired their female coach. I'm hoping that this doesn't lead to more men getting jobs as head coaches in WNBA. Not saying just because it's a women's league, there should be women coaches. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there's so much talent in the women coaching ranks that I don't want to see this become like, Minnesota Timberwolves has a really good assistant coach. Let's bring him over here. And not give the job to an up-and-coming assistant coach who's a female who's on the staff of Dallas or on the staff of what's Dawn Staley in South Carolina. Like, that's my fear. My fear is that, and someone like a Kurt Miller's a WNBA coach. Like, he's a GM, he's a coach. Someone like a Mike and Eric Thibault, who are, WNBA coaches, they're bread and butter. But going outside the league to bring people in, going outside and not giving women the opportunity, that's my biggest fear, because team valuations are getting higher, the money's getting a little bigger. And some of these owners might go, let's go ahead and get like an NBA coach and coach and coach them up. That's my biggest fear right now.
If they're going to get an NBA coach, I hope it's Mark Jackson. But other than that, you're absolutely right. I didn't even think about that. But I just don't like and I feel like a lot of players got to step up and say something about this. Especially teams like Connecticut, who had a great record the last 2 years.
Connecticut, who you're in a state that is known for women's basketball.
Basketball, right.
That's what you're known for. Like, you're not known for nothing else in Connecticut but women's basketball. That's what you're known for. So if they go out and get, insert NBA legend here to coach, there was no reason Derek Fisher should have been coaching the LA Sparks. Not one.
Not one.
That's a hookup. That's the Lakers who own the Sparks, and Phil Jackson's like, Derek don't have a job right now. And Jeannie's like, okay, let's give him a job because he's a Laker.
I mean, he did a great job in New York, so.
Oh, phenomenal. We all put pants on, one leg at a time. I remember that damn stupid ass quote that he made in the huddle. But it's just weird. I'm curious to see what happens with these teams and who gets hired and who takes over, because this turnover is not good for the league. I get Kurt Miller, because Kurt Miller's the GM of the Sparks and the coach. And we talked about what he did and what he put together, and it was shit. Like, the roster he put together was like, what are you thinking? Like, what's your end game for this? So that made sense. Stephanie White didn't make sense. Latricia Tramwell in Dallas didn't make any sense either, because that team was underachieving, but I feel like everybody got hurt on that team, especially this year.
Yeah.
Like, the whole team was knocked out. So you can't expect the coach to be successful when you don't have players, and she's dressed like 7 players for like 2 months of the season. So
that's not on the coach. That's not on the coach.
And you can't put that on the coach. So I'm hoping, like, you got Toronto getting a team, you got Portland. Hopefully, these coaches catch on there. But I'm really hoping it's not a case of these primarily men owners going to what they feel comfortable with and getting a man coach to coach the female team. I'm hoping that's not the case.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens. But great show as always. Got to cut it short because I got to work baseball tonight. I got to watch the Yankees lose Game 3. Yes. Let's go. So, as always, Jason and I will be back next week. We'll do a Sunday show. As we said, supposed to be a show yesterday. I had a cat emergency. My cat has a back issue apparently now. He's on painkillers for the last 2 days, so he's really happy right now. He's really happy right now.
Good. Glad to hear that.
And of course, armchairing every Wednesday at 8 p.m. here on the One Podcast Network with Bruce. So check that out as well. I'm gonna go hope the Yankees lose tonight. For Jason, I'm Kahlil. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on Sunday or Wednesday for Bruce's show, but Wednesday or Sunday. Peace.
Peace.
This has been The Box Out with Kahlil Thomas and Jason Kortner. Subscribe now for the best tri-state area basketball talk.